Please now open your Sutra book. Middle scroll, page 4. Middle scroll, page 4. The second line of sacred scripture here. There is a truly great hell called Avachi, and there is another hell, indeed, named Great Arb. Yesterday, we introduced up to this particular point. The meaning here is truly extremely profound and vast, encompassing a wide range of interpretations. To explain it in detail would truly be endless. But what's important is that we need to understand what causes how, and why one would suffer these retributions there. This point is extremely important. In the sacred and profound Sutra of Kitagaba, it is clearly stated that the 5 heinous offenses are indeed considered to be the gravest and most serious evils. The 5 heinous offenses will be explained in detail later. These include killing father and mother. The kindness and virtue of our parents are indeed immense. Our very own lives come from our parents. If we carefully observe precisely how parents actually take care of their infants, their caution and attentiveness are truly beyond words. From the moment of birth until approximately the age of 3 years, a young child is inherently and completely inseparable from their devoted mother. During every single waking and sleeping moment, the mother is diligently and lovingly caring for, nurturing, and protecting her precious child, ensuring that the child's fragile and developing life is never endangered or put at risk in any way. As for fathers, nowadays, fathers do not fulfill their responsibilities toward their children as much as people did in ancient times. In ancient times, being a father truly meant not only diligently teaching children and infants, but even meticulously educating the child while the mother was pregnant, a practice known as prenatal education. Only then was a father's profound responsibility truly and completely fulfilled. That is why the kindness and virtue of parents are so great that, among the 4 types of kindness, none can compare. If one does not recognize this kindness, does not know to repay it, and even goes so far as to harm or kill, that is an extremely grave sin, one that leads to the deepest hells. How severe is that, do you see? So, what is the second kind of evil deed? It is killing an arhat. An arhat is a sage who has attained true realization through cultivation. Among the 4 types of people in the world, the arhat is truly the spiritual father of all humanity, wherever he resides. He is the father of all sentient beings. If you kill an arhat, you are essentially destroying the spiritual father of all beings. And for the people of that region, they will be left without any blessings. This is the gravest of sins, so killing an arhat is not just committing a crime against the arhat alone, but against all sentient beings in that region. This is the heaviest sin. Are there any arhats in our world today? We truly believe that genuine arhats definitely exist. There are many incarnations of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in this world, so how could there not be arhats? But as ordinary people, we can't recognize them. If you try to find an arhat, you won't find anything at all. However, there are equivalent offenses, sins that are just as serious as that. So, who would be considered equivalent spiritual teachers? Those individuals who possess profound virtue and extensive learning within a particular region and who compassionately guide, instruct, and educate the local populace. If someone to harm such a person, it would be the same as killing arhat. This kind of sin is extremely grave. Not only is it forbidden to harm them, even slandering them is a serious offense. This is something we absolutely must understand. There are some truly ignorant people in this world who, whether intentionally or not, often slander spiritual teachers. Break time equals 0.5s / if it's unintentional, it's purely out of ignorance. But if it's intentional, then there's clearly an ulterior motive at play. And among those ulterior motives, jealousy plays a major role. Now, there are even some people who have certain strategies. How can they effectively raise their own status in society, significantly increase their fame, and truly boost their reputation? What methods do they use? They target well-known and respected figures, criticize, attack, and report on them. Then they rise to prominence. This is clearly driven by ulterior motives. Such actions create karma that leads straight to the avachi hell, the most severe of hells. This is profoundly because their hearts are completely filled with an extreme and pervasive wickedness, a deep-seated malevolence that leaves them utterly devoid of any genuine fear or apprehension of the inevitable and just consequences of karmic retribution, which will ultimately befall them for their actions. All for the sake of fame and profit right in front of them. For just a bit of immediate gain, they dare to commit such grave offenses. This is the karma that leads to the avachi hell. What third kind? It is harming the Buddha's body or image. Now, since the Buddha is no longer in this world, there is a corresponding offense, intentionally defiling or destroying the Buddha's image out of malice. Whether it's a clay sculpture, a wooden carving, a metal casting, or a painted image, if someone destroys these images of Buddhas or Bodhisattvas out of hatred, that offense is an unpardonable sin. But what if it was unintentional? Unintentionally causing damage is a fault, not a sin. That's very minor. If it was unintentional, you just need to repent and confess. First, you can repent for unintentional faults, but not for intentional ones. The last one, causing division within the Sangha. Destroying the harmony of the monastic community, the Sangha, is truly something very rare to witness. This also includes similar offenses. Undermining others' faith, destroying their resolve, or disrupting their practice is considered equivalent to the sin of dividing the harmonious Sangha. These offenses are all extremely serious. We absolutely cannot be ignorant of this. There are also intentional and unintentional aspects here, and both must be distinguished. Was it unintentional on your part? Was it intentional on mine? Unintentional means not having a thorough understanding of these theories and the actual truth. For example, what is often mentioned in the sutras, praising oneself while disparaging others. Praising the Dharma method that you yourself practice, while arbitrarily and unfairly slandering other methods that are different from your own. Break time equals 0.5s/, and this is also considered a type of the gravest and most serious offense. Nowadays, in this world, we often hear people say things like this: those individuals who commit the gravest offenses, those who engage in such truly sinful acts. We must understand that the profound teachings of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are always spoken in direct response to the specific needs of all sentient beings, so there is truly no fixed Dharma in Buddhism. The Amitabha Sutra makes it very clear. Not only does the Buddha have no fixed Dharma to teach, but the Buddha actually has no Dharma to teach at all. Taken to the ultimate point, if someone says Buddha teaches Dharma, slandering the Buddha. Speaking of this point, we must carefully and deeply contemplate these teachings of the Buddha. Then you will not commit the offense of slandering the Dharma, you simply won't do it. Because the teachings are given in response to the needs of sentient beings. My personal faith and your individual faith are not exactly the same, and there are some distinct differences. Even among fellow practitioners of the Pure Land method, even if we all recite Amitabha Buddha's name, it's still not exactly the same. So how do we explain this? I like to recite the Buddha's name quickly, Amitabha, 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 one phrase after another, while he prefers to recite Amitabha Buddha slowly and gently. So these two people are different. Can both of them be reborn in the Pure Land? If one person says, my way of reciting is correct, yours is wrong, isn't that arguing? That's not the same. So we must understand this principle. It's just like when people get sick, say with a cold, and the doctor gives you a prescription. Of course, the medicine is more or less the same, but there are still differences. You take this medicine and get better, but if you look at someone else's prescription and notice a slight difference in taste, you might think it's wrong. Then you criticize him, but his constitution is different from yours. With the same prescription and same doctor, the dosage given to me and you not be the same, maybe I get 3 Chien, you get 4 Chien. You two arguing which is right and wrong? It's because your constitutions are different. When the Buddha teaches the Dharma and saves sentient beings, it's just like this situation, exactly the same. So if you insist that this is right and that is wrong, you're slandering the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. All the sutras were spoken by the Buddha. If you criticize them, you're criticizing the Buddha. If you criticize scriptures, using one sutra to criticize another, Sutra to criticize one, you're committing slander. Those who practice and attain realization according to these treatises and sutras are sages. If you arbitrarily criticize and slander the three jewels, you're committing the karma of the gravest offenses. This is the kind of sin you're creating. All of this comes from ignorance and lack of understanding. We need to be absolutely clear about this very important point. When we see that the great patriarchs and virtuous masters have made criticisms in their writings, do we dare to imitate them? We don't dare to do that. Their criticisms were directed at specific situations. They spoke in response to particular circumstances. Have you ever heard of Chinese Zen stories? Dan Xia cutting the cat. Would you dare to do that? If you saw a cat, would you kill it? If you saw a dog, would you kill it too? Could you really do that? He could split a wooden Buddha statue and burn it for firewood. Could you do that too? Why was he able to do such things? Because he had the right conditions. His actions could help someone attain enlightenment and become a Buddha. So, he wasn't committing a crime. If we were to split a Buddha statue and burn it for firewood, we'd be committing a serious offense, damaging a Buddha's body and shedding his blood. But he wasn't guilty of that. He was an extraordinary person. How could we dare to do such things? So this is something we absolutely need to understand. That's why, in the past, it was said that the Buddha has four kinds of dust. You might say that after learning Buddhism, we have some kind of protection, just like a baby or a 2- or 3-year-old child being cared for by their parents. But now, when we study Buddhism, there's no one to look after us. A 2- or 3-year-old child doesn't know what they are doing. They don't even know the difference between life and death. If they encounter danger and lose their life, they wouldn't even realize it. That's exactly the situation we are in as people learning Buddhism now. Isn't that terrifying? The Buddha understands the situation of sentient beings in the Dharma-ending age and knows the suffering they endure. That's why his compassion reaches its utmost, and he gives special guidance to sentient beings in the Dharma-ending age. In the Sutra, it teaches us that even sentient beings in the Dharma-ending age can achieve accomplishment. This is a major revelation. Since we are born in the Dharma-ending age, which Dharma door should we choose to practice? So, as the Buddha said, to achieve complete accomplishment, we should choose the Pure Land Dharma door. This is the Buddha's final teaching to us. Furthermore, the Buddha established the 4 alliances to guide future generations. This is so we don't go astray. Even if we don't have good spiritual friends to look after us, as long as we follow the 4 alliances, we won't go down the wrong path. The first is to rely on the Dharma, not on people. The Dharma refers to the scriptures. We must always use the scriptures as our foundation. The sutras are the words of the Buddha. The second is to rely on the meaning, not just the words. This point is extremely important. Why is that? It's to prevent future generations from arguing over the scriptures. The Buddha knew that scriptures spread the world and need to be translated. Even if it's the very same sutra, from the exact same Sanskrit original, if different people translate it, the wording and the meaning will naturally differ. For example, when we look at the Diamond Sutra, in the Buddhist canon there are 6 versions of the Diamond Sutra. Nowadays, the version everyone recites is translated by Kumarajiva. If you compare 6 translations, you'll see wording is not same, but the meanings are more or less similar. So which one is translated correctly? And where are the mistakes? Isn't that just making things complicated again? That's why the Buddha taught us to rely on the meaning, not just the words. This is great. If the meaning is correct, that's enough. It doesn't matter if you say a bit more or a bit less. It doesn't matter if you use word or word in translation. As long as the meaning is correct, this helps avoid arguments. Especially with the Infinite Life Sutra, up to now, there are 9 versions, 5 original translations, 3 compiled versions, and 1 Vinaya-based version translated by Tanji. If we understand to rely on the meaning rather than the words, then these debates disappear. There's no need to insist on any particular version. For our own practice and study, it's fine to stick to one version, but as for the other versions, we must absolutely respect them, never criticize. We are neither qualified nor capable of criticizing them. So you see, these 4 alliances taught by the Buddha are really important. Third, the Buddha taught us to rely on the definitive meaning, not on the provisional meaning. So, what is considered definitive meaning? If in this lifetime you can definitely attain Buddhahood, then that is truly the ultimate and definitive meaning. Least, in this lifetime, you must transcend the 6 realms, only then definitive meaning. If your practice and study in this life can't help you transcend the 3 realms and 6 paths, and you still have to go through a cycle of rebirth, then what you're learning is not of truly any definitive meaning. No matter how well you practice, if you can't escape the 6 realms of samsara, if you can't break free from the cycle of rebirth, in other words, you are destined to be unable to avoid the retribution of the 3 evil paths. This is a definite principle. That's why it's said you haven't achieved true accomplishment. So, if you want to break free from the 6 realms of samsara, whether it's in the Mahayana or Hinayana sutras and treatises, the principle is the same. You must cut off the delusions of views and thoughts. Are you truly able to actually do that? Really? Ultimately, the root principle of cutting off the delusions of views and thoughts is to break attachment to the self. If you're still so attached to worldly and transcendental things, how can that work? It can't. This is something all of you are well aware of. If you break your attachments, you'll transcend the 3 realms. If you let go of discrimination, you'll transcend the 10 Dharma realms. And if you cut off deluded thoughts, then you'll achieve Buddhahood. This great principle is spoken of countless times by the Buddha in the Mahayana Sutras. The Buddha points out the root of our afflictions, our deluded thoughts and discriminations. So, sentient beings, think about it. Do we have these things or not? This is something you absolutely must understand. That's why you must study the definitive teachings. And today, we are not just talking about definitive teachings, but the ultimate definitive teachings. The Sutra on Rebirth, it's included among the 5 sutras in one treatise for expounding the Dharma. It's called the Sutra on Rebirth, and it is truly the ultimate and definitive teaching, indeed, for all time. With these 6 sutras and treatises, any one of them can lead to success. Yes, any of them can truly help you transcend the 3 realms, transcend the 10 Dharma realms, and be reborn in the Western Pure Land. This is truly inconceivable. Break time equals 0.5s/. But no matter which sutra you choose, don't have any doubts. Now, some people have doubts about the compiled version of the Infinite Life Sutra by Xie Lianju. Sincere Buddha recitation leads to rebirth, but in the borderland city. This is mentioned in the sutras, but you still have to truly recite. You must truly believe in Amitabha Buddha and truly believe in the Pure Land. If you have doubts about this compiled version of the sutra, you'll be reborn in the borderland city. So why do we do such things? If you have doubts about this version, then just don't rely on it. Among these 9 versions, can you really actually rely on another version? Or even if you don't rely on the Infinite Life Sutra, can you rely on the Amitabha Sutra instead? There are so many versions. Relying on any one of them can lead to rebirth. But you must never, ever harbor any doubts at all about the other versions. That way, you can avoid falling into the borderland city. This is of great benefit to yourself. It truly allows those individuals who are intelligent, truly wise, and abundantly blessed with good fortune and prosperity